UFC Vegas 96. This is the weigh-in recap show, full card predictions, and the betting breakdown. Looking forward to talking about each of the matchups on this card after seeing the fighters on the scales. So make sure you guys smash the like button. If you're new, subscribe. Turn the post notifications on. Make sure you share the video too. And also note, I will be live for the entire UFC Vegas 96 fight card Saturday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Don't miss the fight companion. And let's get into the first fight on the card, Cong Wang versus Victoria Leonardo. I have said it all week, Cong Wang gang. I'm repping with Cong Wang, the Joker, who when you look at the scales, looked like a savage. She had that face mask of the Joker on when they did the face-offs. I'm a believer in her skill set. She beat Valentina Shevchenko in kickboxing. It was a pretty close fight. She has an MMA win over Yanan Wu, who's an ex-UFC fighter. She's got a submission on road to UFC. She seems like she has the goods to be something special. And I know there's a lot of fighters from road to UFC that end up being complete cans, but I think Wang is different. And I think Victoria Leonardo is ultimately an average women's MMA fighter that is towards the bottom tier of the weight class. Good enough to beat a Mandy Bohm, who I just don't think was near the level that we expected. Lost to Natalia Silva. And yes, Natalia Silva is really good, but it was a destructive loss. Lost to Melissa Gatto, who's decent. Lost to Manon Farrow, who's incredible. Leonardo's taking some damage. Now, do not doubt her toughness. That's the biggest facet here, which is why I could see Cong Wang ending up taking a decision with women's MMA. But I will say, she is live for a knockout. She is live for a finish. I got to see the scales. Okay, both of these ladies on weight, ready to go. Neither seem to have much trouble making weight. They look comfortable. You can see first Leonardo there, and then you can see Cong Wang, who looks kind of like Song Yadong, and Keenan Song had a kid. Holy shit. Cong Wang's a gangster. I'm a fan already. Listen, I'm a fan. Look at that chiseled jawline. She's a savage. And then Cong Wang with the face paint, excuse me. If she had a mask, it'd be even crazier. But no, I fuck with it. I feel like she does it better than any other fighter who's dressed up. Marcus Perez, who used to dress up as the Joker. Cong Wang does it better. It looks more authentic. It looks more intense. Leonardo scrappy, but Cong Wang is good. And I think Cong Wang is good for a W. And damn, she better be good for a W at minus 1,200. These type of odds are unbettable money line. Even in a parlay, you're going to have multiple legs to do anything. The question you have to ask yourself, and I'm asking myself it as we speak, is Victoria Leonardo tough enough to survive 7.5 minutes? A piece of me does say yes. I'm going to lean yes. I'm going to say over at minus 210, but definitely Wang is live for a finish. The Wang inside distance is horrible at minus 245. A Wang KO is minus 125. Wang decision is plus 200. She beat Yanan Wu by decision. I know she had a great finish on road to UFC, but, you know, Leonardo's more UFC caliber. I'll say that over 1.5 intrigues me because of Leonardo's proven toughness in the past and simply because a straight money line on Cong Wang is delusional. So let's keep running up. Let's go. Oh, this next fight is going to be absolutely sick. This is an Ultimate Fighter edition. We have not talked about this fight this week yet. We have Zigimatas Ramaska versus Nathan Fletcher. I botched Zigimatas' name really bad. I heard them say, I think it was Yigimatas from Brendan Fitzgerald, but it is what it is. I heard it at the weigh-ins. I remember it from the show, but maybe the name was not good to go. Either way, the pick is Nathan Fletcher. He trains out of the same gym as Paddy Pimblett, and he's got a really good grappling game. Now, Ramaska's striking does impress me. Ramaska is a savage. Go back and watch the Ultimate Fighter bout he had. He went to war. He got dropped in the first round against Bekzat, but he had some good moments. He's still a straight killer. Striking game is good, really good. Issue is when you watch tape of Ramaska outside of the UFC, he's gotten out-grappled. Even if he finds a way to beat some of these lower-tier guys, he's getting out-grappled in fights. And I have Nathan Fletcher, who's a quality prospect, also fought on The Ultimate Fighter. And I think you have to look at it like, yeah, Nathan Fletcher didn't look great on the show. Ramaska was actually injured and unable to, continue in the tournament. So he made it farther, technically speaking. He was supposed to fight Marion Santos. The match appears intriguing for me because a loss to Marion Santos, or rather a fight that didn't happen for Ramaska, but it was scheduled, is a finalist. And Kaan Ofli beat Nathan Fletcher in a dominant wrestling display. and he is in the finals. So I think Nathan Fletcher is pretty talented. He just ran into a savage Australian on the show. And I do think, as fun as Ramaska is to watch, and I will be tuning into more fights. I hope that he puts a decent fight up because I will watch in the future. I think he's going to get out-grappled pretty handily here. I really have worries about the takedown defense, but also the positional grappling defense. There is Nathan Fletcher on the scale. He looks like an Irish lad. He looks kind of like he's from Massachusetts, to be honest. He has a very Massachusetts look. I know he's English, and there's a lot of English folk over in Mass, but doesn't he look like a Masshole? Kind of looks like Joe Selecki, too. I don't know. A mix of like Calvin Kattar without a beard, Joe Selecki, and that hardcore Boston sports fan that you see down the street. That's the kind of vibe I'm getting from him. And then Ramaska looking shredded and tan. He's been hitting the tanning booth. Maybe he's been at the damn beach, but either way, he's got some color. But look at that. Is that staph infection? What is this hole in him? Did he get shot in the past? Do I not remember that? And you can see, though, oh my God, staph galore. Look at the arm here of Fletcher. I think they both got staph infections. Oh my God. Nathan Fletcher should win. I'll pick him in a battle of staph infections. Let's see who takes the biggest virus home. I'm going with Nathan Fletcher. I like Ramaska a lot, though, but I can't go with a style that I like against a style that I do think imposes serious threat upon him. So I'm going to pick Nathan Fletcher. I'm going to say he gets it done on the ground. I'm asking myself this method of victory. What do I feel most confident in? I'm going to go Fletcher by sub, man. He's got 6 wins by submission. I like his takedown game. I like his grappling. I like his athleticism. As good as Ramaska's striking is, there is holes. He's a little too upright and tall for me. And he got dropped by Bekzat, which some of these guys that are very upright and tall, they're somewhat stiff. They can get countered. And I do think on the feet, he's better, but he could still get punched in the face pretty hard. I'm going to go with Fletcher, but damn, I'm worried about the arms, man. Staph infection versus bullet wound. Battle of the viruses. Let's see who takes it home. All right, let's get to the odds. Fletcher is minus 140, Ramaska plus 120. I think Nathan Fletcher wins as a close money favorite. I think gambling on these Ultimate Fighter fights can be pretty fun. And I don't know, I just got a decent feeling that Fletcher pulls it off as a slight favorite. I like this line here. Over 1.5 is actually plus 100. Ramaska, he's durable, though. Has he ever been finished? No, I don't think he has. Oh, he was knocked out in the first round, but that was a while ago. Knocked out here against Tumanov, but an OV last name. Tumanov's a legendary striking. Remember Albert Tumanov stand-up? I think Nathan Fletcher by sub is live. Don't be shocked if he wins it by a decision, but I lean submission. Over 1.5 is also live, but I just like Fletcher. If you have to bet on this one, Fletcher by submission plus 135. So Nathan Fletcher, the pick. I'm riding with him as the minus 140 favorite. I think he's getting the W. I think he's taking it home. And shit, I'm looking forward to it. Fletcher for the win. Ultimate Fighter finale savage fight. Next fight on the card, we have Josiane Nunes versus Jacqueline Cavalcanti. I've been picking Josiane Nunes as an underdog. I got a feeling that she's going to make this a rough and tumble fight. And that's where she's going to thrive against somebody who is a skilled technician, but not a dog like her. Nunes needs to get this fight within close range. She's at a 3-inch reach disadvantage, but a 6-inch height disadvantage. So with that height disadvantage, you definitely have to worry about the kicking game of Jacqueline Cavalcanti from the outside. That is a problem. Now, I think Josiane Nunes is going to drive that car, and I think she's going to get in close, and I see a 29-28 close decision, maybe even a split for Nunes taking it home. Let's see. Scales. Nunes, for a second, I thought that was Marion Santos. Holy shit. Nunes looks good. You know, he looks solid. Looks like Nunes normally does. It's the Nunes look. Cavalcanti looks fantastic. She looks in amazing shape. She looks great. And then there's the face-off. I think Nunes can outdog her in a close one. Don't doubt the Josiane Nunes side. It's not like Cavalcanti has beaten anybody. She beat Zara Farron. So did Nunes. It's not a major win. I'm going Josiane Nunes in a dogfight to pull it out. She's a big underdog. Plus 185 with Cavalcanti at minus 220. Let's see. Over 2.5 at minus 245 is most likely going to happen. Nunes wins a decision. Plus 380. I see her getting a 29-28 decision. I see her getting a close one. I'm going Josiane Nunes to outdog Jacqueline Cavalcanti in what should be a fun fight. Definitely need Nunes to be willing to press hard, because if she gets caught on the outside, she will be technically outstruck for 3 rounds. There is a path for Cavalcanti, but I think Nunes makes her uncomfortable and finds a way to win. Next fight on the card, we have Vyacheslav Borshchev versus James Llontop. Not James Llontop, James Llontop. I'm going with Vyacheslav Borshchev to find a way to pull it out. I don't know. I think he can do it. He's a cleaner striker. He's more technically sound. Llontop's pretty good on the feet, though, and he's got some nasty body kicks. I mean, there's things to like for the James Llontop striking side, but I just have a good feeling that Borshchev is cleaner on the feet than him. I know he was dropped by Chase Hooper, so that's got to be a relative concern. But on the flip side of that, he's fighting a guy who doesn't pose any bit of a significant grappling threat. And normally that is the reason that Borshchev is fumbling the bag in fights. Now, he was also dropped by Nazim Sadikov to a draw there. And his win is against Meerschaert, who's a purist striker. I think Llontop and him deliver a good fight, but I'm going to say that Vyacheslav Borshchev finds a way to win. It's going to be a hard matchup, though. Borshchev, he could knock him out, but I definitely think that it could end up going 3 rounds and Borshchev getting it on the cards in a hard fight. I'm not giving up on Borshchev yet. I know people are writing him off, but I don't know. Llontop was quickly submitted by Padilla. He hasn't beaten anybody UFC level, man. He's a Contender Series winner, but they both are. There's Vyacheslav Borshchev looking like an absolute freak. He looks like a freak, but he looks better this fight. He looks physically really fit. He seems to be, I don't know, he seems to be at a good point. Llontop's excited as hell to fight him. James Llontop's a gangster. I fuck with Llontop, though. Either way, good fight coming. I think Vyacheslav Borshchev is cleaner on the feet. And I have to go with the championship pedigreed kickboxing over the savage South American striking. So we're going with the side of Vyacheslav Borshchev to find a way. Now, he's minus 205 as the favorite. A little bit chalky here. Llontop plus 175. With Borshchev dropping a couple, man, or even dropped in a couple, I should say, it doesn't make me crazy about betting it. Over is quite possible because Llontop's got a chin on him. I think that this is, unfortunately, not a great betting fight. Borshchev by KO is plus 150 with a Borshchev decision sitting at plus 175. So I'm going to go with Vyacheslav Borshchev. He finds a way to outdog a dog in a pretty competitive fight. Borshchev does more damage. I think he's live for a late knockout, but it could definitely go long. It's definitely one of the trickier fights to pick because Llontop's young. At 25, he's got a lot of ability to improve. And he's got some nasty kicks. He's got some range on Vyacheslav Borshchev, but I don't think he's as clean with his hands. And I would say Borshchev is definitely more technically sound. And I took a lot of positives away from his fight against Nazim Sadikov. It's easy to write him off because Chase Hooper is consistently underrated and disrespected. And I've been guilty of it in the past. But Hooper is significantly more experienced and well-versed on the ground than James Llontop. So I'm going to say Vyacheslav Borshchev finds a way to win. Next fight on the card, we have Jose Medina versus Zach Reese. I've been picking Zach Reese throughout the week, but I won't sit here and lie. Medina would be the real-life Rocky story if he was able to find a way to win. Ultimately, I think Zach Reese is a good prospect, and although he has all first-round knockouts, I think he has a well-versed enough tool set to find a way to win a decision, too, against a guy that's just simply stubborn to put away in Jose Medina. Now, I'm going to look at the scales. We're going to see, because Medina was chubby on Contender Series. I'm telling you right now, spoil it. He ain't chubby no more. Who the hell is Jose Medina? He looks different. He looks really good. He's training at Entrom Gym. I think he could survive to the later stages. I don't know. He kind of looks like a Hispanic Wolverine. So shout out to Wolverine in the UFC. Doesn't have the physique of Wolverine just yet, but definitely cutting to 185. Great decision. He's lost a lot of body fat. Reese looks jacked. He's got the mullet. Come on, bro. You got to rep with Team Reese. Like, I think Reese wins the fight, but Medina's an absolute savage, and I think he can survive. So Reese is going to be really tested here, because if he does go crazy in the first round, there is a world where he gasses out and Medina stops him in the second or third. So I don't think that a Jose Medina degenerate bet is a horrible idea, because he is plus 450, but I do think that Reese wins at minus 625. I also have a good feeling, man. I know it's plus money, but over 1.5, as tough as Medina is, and if Reese is more calculated, which is kind of what I'm expecting here, we could see it head into the later stages. Although Reese has not been there before, it doesn't mean he's incapable of winning a smart game plan style fight. Now, looking towards the side of Reese to win a decision, that's all the way up at plus 600, which he definitely could do. Medina by a knockout is plus 900. Inside distance for Medina is plus 750. If Medina outdogs him, that's a big bet. Medina wins in the second round is plus 1,800, and the third plus 2,500. You're not crazy for throwing degen bets out for Jose Medina, but I will tell you, technically speaking, after really studying both guys, like Zach Reese is definitely better than him at fighting, but it's not about the better guy. Sometimes the dog can pull through. But if Zach Reese fights intelligently, I do think he finds a way to beat a Jose Medina. Whether it's a late finish or it's a decision, I think Zach Reese is going to take home a W against absolute Rocky Story Bolivian savage in Jose Medina, who I wish nothing but the best for. And I hope that overhits. I would like to see it go long, and I'd love to see Medina put up a good fight. He's a huge underdog. Next fight on the card is our featured prelim of the night, Dennis Buzukja versus Francis Marshall. Now, this was a late addition. Initially, Dennis Buzukja was scheduled to fight against none other than Danny Silva. Silva pulled out. Francis Marshall steps in. Fight's now at 155, which makes things interesting. Now, Marshall is not coming off of the full camp. He's a tough, scrappy dude, but like, I just am really torn, man. I feel like Dennis Buzukja finds a way to win, but it's not going to be easy because Marshall is tough. Like, look at the third round for Marshall against Gomis. He nearly gets a finish. Yeah, he got destroyed by Isaac Dalgarian, but at that point, Dalgarian was looking like a future world champion. Dennis Buzukja paid his dues. He got the win over Connor Matthews. Interestingly enough, they both have the Connor Matthews wins under the belt. Both are 1-2 in the UFC. I think that Dennis Buzukja finds a way to get a win off of a full camp, a hard-fought W against a game Francis Marshall. Now, Marshall does have relatively good pressure wrestling. He's a good athlete. His striking isn't bad either. I would say he's relatively well-versed as a fighter with some powerful hooks and decent stand-up, too, to go alongside solid wrestling. But Buzukja can box, Buzukja can crack, and I do think Buzukja is slicker at jiu-jitsu for the most part. I'm going to say Buzukja finds a way, but we're sitting on a fight that is a short notice replacement bout between prospects. Probably betting-wise, better to stay away. Francis Marshall looks in great shape. I mean, he looks like a Chad NPC. Do you guys see what I'm saying? The NPC Chad archetype, Francis Chad Marshall. Then we got Dennis Buzukja, looks ready to kill. He looks intense out here. I like the cross. Good face-off. Dude, Marshall really looks like a firefighter. The Fire Marshal's a great nickname. Both guys cauliflower eared up. I'm going to say Dennis Buzukja finds a way to get a hard-fought decision. Not an easy fight, but he's coming off a full camp. Marshall's stepping in. I feel like he'll win. Francis Marshall's the favorite at minus 142. That's interesting. I didn't expect that. Buzukja's plus 120 as the dog. I thought the odds were flipped. I did not check odds before this fight. I won't lie to you. The over 2.5 is likely at minus 210. I got the underdog in Dennis Buzukja to find a way to pull through. Buzukja on a decision is plus 250. And I'm saying Buzukja in a competitive fight is able to get his hand raised. I think he rips some really good punches. I think he garners some good positions on the ground. And I think Dennis Buzukja is en route to taking a W home. The masses are all picking Dennis Buzukja, but really interesting that he's sitting at an underdog line. I wonder if that is destined to change by tomorrow or by later today, depending when you're watching this video. The pick is going to be Dennis Buzukja, but even though it's a dog bet, I will tell you it is risky because both are prospects and relatively unproven at a high level. Next fight on the card, it brings us to our main card opener. If you guys haven't yet, make sure you smash the like button. If you enjoy a lot and you haven't subscribed, press that subscribe button. Keep it locked in. We got Edmund Shahbazyan versus Gerald Meerschaert. I am going with none other than Edmund, the Golden Goat Shahbazyan, okay? Don't doubt Edmund. I think that he gets written off quickly as a super suspect grappler because of losses to elite opposition when he is literally only 26 and still consistently improving his game. And he has a devastating striking skill set. And Gerald Meerschaert on the opposite side needs this fight on the floor to win. And I guess you can say the same. Well, okay, but Shahbazyan needs it on the feet to win. You do start standing. And if Shahbazyan's improved takedown defense holds up, which I expect it to, I think he's going to deliver a knockout on Gerald Meerschaert. Now, last time out for Gerald Meerschaert, he beat a fun fighter in Brian Barberena, but Barberena is extremely flawed and he lacks grappling skill. Before that, close loss to Petrosky, and then before that, Joe Pyfer devastatingly finished him. Edmund Shahbazyan, he was rocked against AJ Dobson, but did find a way to win. Fight before that, he lost to Hernandez, who's a stud. Beat Dolce Ligambula in a bounce-back fight after 3 losses in a row. But Imavov, top contender. Hermanson, savage gatekeeper. Derek Brunson, savage gatekeeper at the time. So Shahbazyan's losses in 2024, when you reflect on them and you look at them in hindsight, are fine. Edmund Shahbazyan has got a good chance to pull through, and I think he can beat a GM3. I'm going with Edmund Shahbazyan to find the knockout win here over Gerald Meerschaert. I see him doing it. There's Meerschaert. He's got the legendary mustache. Looking pretty savage with the stash, actually. The Ron Jeremy stash. I like what Meerschaert's doing here. He's really putting a vibe out. Meerschaert's a bro. I fuck with Meerschaert. He's a good guy. Edmund Shahbazyan, he kind of looks like he just rolled out of bed for this weigh-in, but he looks excited and confident. And then we got the face-off. Shahbazyan, the bigger guy, a little taller. Definitely a little thinner from the shoulder broadness, but I do think the slicker striking is the ultimate difference maker. If Shahbazyan can keep it on the feet, I think he's getting a knockout. Minus 315. Yes, it's a wide tag, but it's a pick. It's a confident pick. Meerschaert plus 265. I think that Edmund Shahbazyan should beat a Gerald Meerschaert. I do think a finish is in store for either. Under 2.5 at minus 310. And then we got Shahbazyan inside distance sitting at minus 200, as well as a Shahbazyan knockout at minus 150. So not a ton of money to make on betting a Shahbazyan, nor even betting just in under 2.5 rounds. But I will guarantee violence in this fight. And I think somebody's getting a finish. And I favor the Edmund Shahbazyan finish side. Now looking at Meerschaert by sub, which would be his most likely method. I just have to look at the odds. All the way up at 5-1. That's kind of crazy for as good as his jiu-jitsu is, being 5-1. I expected like 350 odds for Meerschaert by sub. Either way, I think Edmund Shahbazyan does get a knockout, and I feel like he finds a way to take it home. But I know some people are backing Meerschaert. They like him as a dog, and they want to throw some heat down at him, so I understand. Either way, Shahbazyan knockout win is the call. Next fight on the card, we have Michael Morales versus Neil Magny. I've been picking Michael Morales throughout the week. It's really hard for me to go against a prospect surging like he is. He's an incredibly slick and talented fighter overall. He's got great athleticism, really solid stand-up, alongside of being an Ecuadorian wrestling champion. But do not fully doubt Neil Magny. Neil Magny, you'll see in a second, is in incredible shape. And even at 37, I mean, he's been trading wins and losses for a while now. He is due for a loss. And I think Michael Morales is well-versed enough to get through the Neil Magny gatekeeper door. I do think he has the keys to it. Now, looking at Neil Magny, win over Mike Malott in an epic comeback where he was a huge dog. A loss to Ian Gary in a fight where he was obliterated. A win over Phil Rowe on a very competitive split decision, and then a loss to Gilbert Burns by submission, and a win over D-Rod by submission, which is relatively impressive. Morales hasn't beaten anybody great, but wins over Jake Matthews, Max Griffin, Adam Fugit, and Trevin Giles, as well as Nikolay Veretinikov, all 5 guys who are currently fighting the UFC. I believe Trevin Giles is still signed, unless they cut him. I believe Fugit's still signed too. He's coming off that close win over Quinlan. I think that Michael Morales finds a way to win. It's hard for me to ever pick Neil Magny to get finished unless I have a guy who is a god-tier finisher, because he's extremely durable, he's extremely fit, and he's well-rounded. Now, Michael Morales has the makings of somebody that can take this very far, and he also has the look for it as well. Has he got the veneers in? Michael Morales kind of looks like he's in the NBA, bro. Looks a little Allen Iverson-like. Then we got Neil Rastaman Magny. Yo, man. Yeah, man, it's the Rasta, man. Is that him? Is that Bob Marley? Bob Marley, I mean, Neil Magny with the dreads. I fuck with it. He's in good shape. Looking slim and slender, but that's his normal build. These guys are almost the same height, too. And I think Neil Magny struggles with a tall and long guy who's well-rounded, like a Morales. Now, as far as the betting lines for this fight, Morales is a 9-1 favorite, which is crazy wide, with Neil Magny as a plus 600 underdog. I think that Michael Morales does find a way to get a W. Over 2.5 is minus 180. Morales to win via decision sits now at minus 110. I will say, I think that he's going to win a decision. I respect Neil Magny's durability that he has consistently showcased. And Morales, not easily finishing everybody. And a knockout here would be relatively hard at plus 190 for a knockout. And a submission from Morales at plus 475. Yeah, Morales is going to win. He's a confident pick. But again, the odds are so damn bad. Like earlier in the week, it's like, oh, it's kind of valuable at minus 550. Now it's 9-1. Michael Morales should take it home. I see him beating Neil Magny. Next fight on the card, it is the Ultimate Fighter featherweight finale. We have Kaan Ofli versus Mairon Santos. I'm going to go with Ofli to beat Santos. Even though Santos is a slick Brazilian with a lot of promise and potential, he has lost to somebody with a somewhat similar style to Ofli and definitely a similar frame. Mairon Santos was dominated and submitted by Dan Argueta in the LFA. Dan Argueta then came back to the UFC after a big W like that. And the grappling skill set of Ofli is also there. I mean, he beat Nathan Fletcher on the Ultimate Fighter, and I was ranting and raving about how slick Fletcher's jiu-jitsu is. As good as Mairon Santos' takedown defense seems to hold up, we saw it on the Ultimate Fighter, right? Against Cooper, it doesn't seem to me that Mairon Santos is going to be able to defend the level of wrestling from Ofli. I don't see that. I think Mairon Santos also lacks the true knockout ability to deal with a pressure fighter like Ofli, who's on a tremendous tear right now. And I feel like the Australian Savage, the Turkish-Australian blend is one of the most badass blends in the game. I think Ofli is just simply too much of a powerhouse wrestler and a powerhouse pressure fighter with a solid enough striking game to use that striking to time takedowns on a relatively skilled Mairon Santos. He's nice on the feet. He's slick with it. I like Mairon Santos, but the takedown defense is going to have to hold up for a lot of the fight, man. And ultimately, I don't know. You dig in a little bit. I mean, close fight here, loss here, win over Barboza, and then the win on the Ultimate Fighter. Like, the wins on the Ultimate Fighter, I respect. Don't get it twisted. I respect those wins. He fought Guillermo, who's also a wrestler, but like a significantly worse version of Ofli last time on the Ultimate Fighter. And Guillermo was stepping in on short notice. I feel like Ofli is just simply a bit too much for a skilled Brazilian, but a Brazilian that is not ready for this level of pressure. And I'm going to go with Ofli to take a W home. Australia, stand up. There's Josiane Nunes. I mean, Mairon Santos looks pretty good. Looks like Josiane Nunes. They look like brother and sister. There is Ofli, who kind of looks like a high testosterone Jimmy Flick at this point. It's kind of the vibe I'm getting. And there's the face-off. You can see the thickness of Ofli. And I do think that that is a factor into landing these takedowns. I'm going to go with Ofli to find a way to out-wrestle and control Mairon Santos, who I don't think has the power to deal with him. And crazy enough, Mairon Santos is a minus 180 favorite. I expected these lines to be contrary. Plus 155 for Ofli? Interesting. Wow, the hype on Mairon Santos coming in is heavy by the damn odds makers. I didn't expect this line to stay this wide or even be this wide. It opened up at minus 155, but at minus 120, like that made more sense to me. Really interesting. Really interesting. Ofli plus 155. Over 1.5 is likely at minus 240. I will be calling an Ofli decision up at plus 300, but submission isn't crazy though. Submission for Ofli plus 500. Damn, am I going submission or am I going decision? Well, my official pick I wrote down was decision, but there is value on chasing a prop of a decision. Either way, Kaan Ofli, I'm going to pick to get it done. Mairon Santos still a really young guy, and losing the Ultimate Fighter isn't the end of the world. I just think it's a hard stylistic clash for him. He's taking on a, savage Australian, who's got good pressure wrestling, who I think can make Mairon Santos uncomfortable. And I'm going to go with Ofli for a decision in the finale. I'm picking him to win the show. Picking him to win it. Next fight on the card. It's our featured bout, but it's also our Ultimate Fighter middleweight finale. We have Ryan Loder versus Robert Valentin, Robzilla. Now, note something. Valentin has finishing ability. Loder has control. I'm going to go with the more violent fighter. I think that Valentin does find a way to win. I think Valentin can actually do some significant damage to Loder on the feet. The worry is going to be Ryan Loder successfully chaining takedowns together and Valentin stuck spending the whole fight either on his back or against the cage being controlled. But if he can create even a small amount of distance, the violent striking style of Valentin is something to get excited about. He is well-versed on the feet. I see him as the more dangerous guy, and I see him as the next Ultimate Fighter. I fuck with Valentin a lot, the king of Valhalla. Also, if you saw Mairon Santos on the scales, he had a rough weigh-in. That's something to note. If you skipped out, you know, if you didn't hear it from the last fight, well, I'm telling you now, it's a bonus. Bonus for the next fight breakdown. Mairon Santos really had a little bit of a harder cut. Ryan Loder looks shredded, bro. You got to get that Ryan Loder physique. Respect to Loder. He looks awesome. Valentin's in great shape as well. He looks like a sick man. He looks like a Yuri Prohashka blend with a little Nicholas Dalby and then add in a little sprinkle of like Jan Blachowicz, and this is him right here. And we got a badass Ultimate Fighter finale. I just think Valentin's more dangerous, man. Loder's a good wrestler. Loder's a solid fighter. We've seen fighters like wrestlers like him, wrestlers like him, win the Ultimate Fighter or make it far. I don't know. He kind of reminds me of like a more well-versed modern version of Matt Hamill. I was making the joke, and hopefully if Loder's watching, he doesn't hate me for it. But, you know, Matt Hamill was deaf. Loder's got dyslexia. So in a sense, this is a 2.0 version of Matt Hamill. And I am backing the side of Valentin, though, to knock him out. The devastating elbows. We saw what John Jones did to Matt Hamill. The elbows are the secret. The elbows are going to come in handy. And respect to Ryan Loder, though. I'm talking my crap, but Loder's a good dude. I actually really liked him from The Ultimate Fighter. I think Valentin finds a way to knock him out, though. Loder is plus 138 as the underdog with Valentin at minus 158. I have to go with the side of Valentin to find a way to thrive, and I will be predicting Valentin inside of the distance. The under is plus 110. Looking at Valentin inside distance, plus 130. A Valentin knockout, upwards of plus 500. Yeah, I think Valentin takes the cake. I think Valentin takes it home. Robert Valentin for the finish. He gets it done inside of the distance. He finds a way to win. He beats Ryan Loder, takes a big W home, and I'm happy to be picking the Savage Robzilla. Robert Valentin from Switzerland. Valhalla. Valhalla forever. Let's jump to our co-main event of the evening. If you guys haven't yet, make sure you smash the likes. I'm doing it at the co-main event. I'm adding the second one. I didn't even mean to. That was just instinctual because I was thinking we're at main event time. Angela Hill, Tabatha Ricci. I'm going Angela Hill on a close decision, probably a split. Let me tell you why. She's the cleaner striker than Tabatha Ricci, and she also is showing a consistent improvement in her takedown defense. Now, Tabatha Ricci is good at wrestling. She's got good jiu-jitsu, but she's not great at wrestling, and she's not great at jiu-jitsu either. Angela Hill's got quick hands. Angela Hill's got great combinations. Angela Hill is better on the feet. Where she would struggle is on her back with Ricci, but I don't think that Tabatha Ricci has the wrestling prowess to body Angela Hill. I think Hill can get it on a close decision, but I will definitely emphasize close decision at the apex. And we've seen Ricci get a close one last time. They're looking at her physique too much. There's Ricci. She looks in good shape. She looks jacked. She looks shredded. Angela Hill looks in amazing shape too. Angela Hill is one of the few fighters I can say has aged in reverse. Aged like fine wine. There's the face-off between the two. Angela Hill pulled her pants down to match the Tabatha Ricci look. I think Angela Hill, 29-28, in a good scrap, Angela Hill squeaks by. It's going to be a fun fight. Plus 107. I'm going with the underdog, Angela Hill. Tabatha Ricci, minus 127. These odds were actually flipped earlier in the week. They've been flip-flopping, but now Angela Hill is officially an underdog. She's not just an even money line over, I think, is a lock at minus 550. And then looking at it, Hill by decision is plus 135. I'm going with the side of Angela Hill to find a way. I think that the striking and the takedown defense are going to be big factors in this fight. I believe she's going to have multi-shot combinations. I believe she will keep Tabatha Ricci off of her for the most part. And I believe she's going to take home a win. Angela Hill in the co-main event to get a win over Baby Shark, Tabatha Ricci. Next fight is our main event of the evening. If you guys haven't yet, make sure you smash the likes. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe. We got Jared Cannonier versus Caio Borralho. I've been picking Caio Borralho. I think he's a lock this week. I'm going savage mode. I think Borralho is a special talent. Caio Borralho has been 5 rounds before, which I took as a massive positive heading into a fight against a former title challenger in Jared Cannonier. And also a 40-year-old Jared Cannonier who, in my opinion, has begun to get a tad bit slower. And he definitely starts slower than he has in the past. Now, he's an athletic and powerful striker with heavy hands for sure. When Cannonier is on point, he's terrifying. But I don't think he can deal with Borralho's distant striking. I don't think he can deal with Borralho's light-footedness. I don't think he can deal with the karate-esque inside out of range at this point. I don't think he has the speed to catch a Borralho. And then you add on top of that the threat of wrestling. Borralho is better on the ground. Borralho has slicker submissions. Borralho is better from the grappling, okay? In the striking, he's a little slicker and cleaner at this point too than Cannonier. But no, Cannonier in his prime, definitely more explosive and powerful. I just don't think he's the same. And I think Borralho's a rough matchup for him. Borralho's a dangerous fighting nerd's talent. And I'm going to say Caio Borralho finds a way to win. I think a decision is live, but a submission finish for Borralho, being the first guy to take Cannonier out by sub, it's got a nice ring to it. Let's check the scales. All right. So on the scales, there's Caio Borralho, who's an absolute Chad. He looks so confident. Gotta love Caio Borralho. He's got the watch on too. Big fan of the Fighting Nerds team. Jared Cannonier, still looking good. Lost to Amavov last time. It was a bit of an early stoppage, though he was losing the fight, and he was definitely rocked. Then there's the face-off. Borralho looking substantially larger. Look at that big head of Borralho. That head's getting knocked out. I don't think Cannonier can beat him up for 5 rounds, and I think Caio Borralho has got the head size to take a big shot. I think it's the Caio Borralho time now, and I'm going with Caio Borralho to find a way. I'm thinking he's live for a submission, man. Decision for sure is live. Submission is also live. Caio Borralho to take a W home. Now, looking at the odds, Jared Cannonier plus 215 as the dog. Borralho minus 255 as the favorite. Looking towards the side of over 3.5 minus 175. Submission win for Borralho plus 325. Decision plus 160. I don't know. We're at the apex. I don't know. I'm hoping for violence, man. I'm really thinking the submission could come through. I think Borralho's got the goods. The money line is the lock side. I think Caio Borralho finds a way to take a W home. I think he beats an OG Savage and Jared Cannonier, but a guy whose best days I personally feel are behind him. And Fighting Nerds has been on a roll, and it would be a disgrace for me to say fade Fighting Nerds. So Caio Borralho in the main event to become elite and move up the ranks substantially and start taking on some top contenders with a W. Caio Borralho, savage, and still undefeated inside of the UFC. Fighting Nerds on fire, per usual. Those are the predictions for UFC Vegas 96, but we are going to look at the post-weigh-in parlays. What are you thinking? What are we doing? Where are we at? Let's scroll down a tad because there's a lot of fights. Borralho, if you want to throw the main event, if you're feeling good about it, the over in the women's fight. Yes, this sucks at minus 153. I recognize it. Morales, minus 116. This should hit, though. This should hit. I got a good feeling that it happens. If you don't want to play Morales, you don't want someone unproven, but you just like the over and Borralho together. I mean, throwing in these guys from the freaking Ultimate Fighter is high damn risk. If you're looking for high reward, high risk, sure, throw in Ofli. Throw in somebody like that. Throw in Valentin. But unproven. Shahbazyan should get it done. It's plus 113. Buzukja as a dog. I want to do something different. Actually, Josiane Nunes is a dog. Wow, plus 380. All right, let's do something real quick. I'm going to clean the parlay slate off, and I am going to do an underdog parlay. If you guys are not watching Wednesday's show, you're missing out because I'd be dropping hell of pre-weigh-in parlays on Wednesday, and we're doing pretty good, man. All right, so what degeneracy is calling my name? Ofli for the win. I think he finds a way to do it. If I went Nunes, this is risky, plus 712. Medina's tough enough to survive, plus 1670. Fuck it. Savage mode. Degenerate as hell. Plus 2,000. That's a risky-ass one, though. That's just me looking for degeneracy, not high confidence. I mean, if you want to go high confidence, I showed you it the first time, but if you want to add more to it, a Cavalcanti over 2.5. The women's fight should go long. This fight should go long as a women's fight. It's already minus 163 with the Hill Ricci and the Cavalcanti Nunes over. And then from there, I mean, Morales brings you to close money. Borralho's going to bring you to plus money. If you don't like some of those calls, then I guess you're kind of in a rough and tumble spot, because then you're forced to, you know, throw down on some relatively unproven fighters, which I feel like is not the best strategy for this card. I don't know, a lot of Ultimate Fighter guys. I'm going to remove Shahbazyan. Then we're going to remove Morales. Over, and then Valentin and Ofli. Am I going to sweep the Ultimate Fighter picks? Plus 635. It's so interesting to me seeing Ofli as this big of a damn underdog with the wrestling skill set that he has. If you want to just go over, under Thunder, you go 2 overs, 1 under. Boom. Plus 251. I think this is live as well. Bet it intelligently, man. You can get crazy and degen up some underdog picks with the parlays, but I really feel as though for this Apex card, high confidence is definitely a smart idea. Do your own research, do your own due diligence before betting down, as always. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed the weigh-in recap show. Good to be back in studio. I know you guys are excited. Looking forward to the Fight Companion. Thank you all for tuning in. Much love to each and every one of you. Smash the likes on your way out. And if you're new, subscribe. And definitely let me know what you thought of the picks in the comments. I want to hear from you guys. And if you have nothing to say, just enjoy the content. As always, W in the chat to boost the algorithm for your boy. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you all on the next one. Peace out.